right. Hey, like I said, my name is Eric Stiegel. I'm the head football coach at Grandville High School, Grandville, Michigan. Been there 10 years, so going to my 11th season there. Before that, I was at Taylor Truman High School, which is no longer a high school anymore. That was south of Detroit, probably 25 minutes. Grandville is located, we're a southwest suburb of Grand Rapids, Michigan, so on the west side of the state, pretty close to Lake Michigan. We are about 1,800 kids, and we play Division I in Michigan, which is the largest classification in Michigan. With that, I do know this is kind of a national deal, but I know we have some Ohio people on here. I think we're heading to Columbus, Ohio, week 1 for us, week 2 for Ohio this year to play Pickerington North to open our season up. So excited about that. Know we're going to see some good football down there with that. So what I'm here to talk about today is Power T counter. With that, you can see my contact information is on the screen. With that, so if you guys want to email me, that's more than welcome to do that. Again, as we get questions, I don't know if those will pop up and I'll see them. If not, but I'm more than welcome, to just ask you guys ask questions, and I can do my best to get on that. So again, like I said, we are a Power T team. We're going to talk counter for us, which is 76 and 77. 70s dictate counter action in our backfield for us. We'll talk base adjustments with that counter too. So I'm going to start with the presentation, and then I'll get to some huddle film. We can detail some things. So how I like to, our playbook, we're saying this is really our playbook for, we have this for each one of our schools. We'll have a slideshow essentially for us. And how I like to start off, both from a teaching standpoint to my players, my coaches, and if I'm going to speak at something like this is, not so much just all the rules that people have for our counter, but all right, what are the big things that we have to do to be successful in counter? And again, when if a coach says we're full house, that means we're 3 backs and a T, and we have 2 tight ends. We're in that almost all the time. Sometimes we'll break formation a little bit, but we are a true Power T system. It's not a goal line package. It's not a short yards package. It's who we are. So, for me, the number one thing why I like counter is it has power attitude. Okay, with misdirection. We're a big power off tackle team. Okay, it's probably the number one play we run. All right, where we are gonna, it's powerful people. Okay. We're going to block down inside, look for vertical movement. We're going to look to get vertical movement and kick out the defensive end, bring a guard through, and most of the time too also bring another back. So we have like a double insert there per se, and we're going to try to outnumber you and overwhelm you with our off tackle game. So for us, it starts with being a great power team, and counter obviously gets the misdirection of power, so it's the counter off the play. But from a blocking standpoint, you're going to see that the front side blocking rules from our center to our tight end are identical. Okay, they're identical. We may have some, small things we'll talk to our kids about in terms of how the linebackers are going to fit it versus power with the misdirection, but the blocking rules and the techniques are the same. Okay. Also, we have similar adjustments and tags to our counter game as we do our power game, so it marries very well. For me, it's a day 1 install for us. Okay. We're gonna install power. We're gonna install our inside trap play and counter. Okay, installing. I personally recommend installing power and counter together because, to me, they're very similar with that. So I think one of the biggest things that we talk about being a key for this play is our backside guard kicking out. Okay, and for us, counter for us is the guard pulling and kicking out the end man, and the tight end, who's an online player, leading up on the play. So those are in the base scheme, those are our two pullers. So that guard, all right, we want him tight to the line of scrimmage. Okay, we want him keying the near hip of the defender he's looking to kick out. Okay, and what we say is if that hip disappears, we're getting the team that wants to squeeze our tight end hard, or we get a hard spill player. All right, we got to look to get thick on that guy. And if we can't kick him out, we want to drive him vertical. We don't want to log him. We don't want to be soft. It could turn into a log, but we don't want to have a mentality that we're going to tell our kid that, hey, you can't kick him out and just try to log him. Because what we find with that is if that end spills the play and gets vertical, he's going to mess up the second puller. It's just going to kind of be a disaster for us. So we want to, ideally kick the end man out. But if we can't kick the end man out, we want to take him vertical. So I use that term. If that hip disappears, get thick on the guy. I mean, get a lot of your body service on him, and then let's just drive him. Let's just drive him. That tight end pulling. So it's a little bit harder for that tight end to pull than it would be like an H-back to pull, okay, or a Y off, because he's on the line of scrimmage at the end. He has to get off the line of scrimmage for his pull, all right, avoid, potentially some trash, and then have vision, okay? And naturally, because he's heading parallel with the line of scrimmage, he's going with it. A lot of times the kid's vision will naturally take him outside, okay? But what we tell our tight end on that pull is that you are trying to get the scrape linebacker, so an inside linebacker scraping over our blocks, like over a double team, all right, to an alley defender coming downhill into the alley. Could be a corner folding in, could be a safety coming down. That's who we want you to look for. So scrape linebacker getting over the top, okay, all right, to an alley player. And we're going to do as good a job as we can on not letting any linebackers come underneath our double teams. So, as a starting point, and that's not a hard set rule until we know how your linebackers are really playing. But if we went out there and we don't know what you're doing, we're going to have the inside guy come off on our double team. We're not going to read it. We're going to make sure we don't get an underneath run through from a Mike linebacker, a backside linebacker, or even a play side linebacker who might be lined up in a 30 or 40 coming straight downhill. We got to make sure we take care of that, because our tight end will not – it's a tough block for our tight end. We want him to be able to pick up a linebacker that gets over the top, okay, to someone coming into your alley. I think another reason, that I like this play, and it's a big key, is that you got to keep your halfback square. Okay, it's a little bit slower play than power for us. Okay, but it's similar footwork. But we want that halfback to be square. Okay, and our quarterback mechanics is, when you see film, you'll see that we want him to be able to get downhill so he can hit that play wherever it opens. It could be, in the C gap. It could be in the B gap. It could be squared. He could bounce it to the D gap. It could be in the A gap potentially. But if he's square downhill, okay, he's square to the line of scrimmage, he's got an opportunity to hit the play where it opens up, okay, and have vision to do so. Okay, just so we look at the blocking rules for us, and I'll describe these to you. Our play side tight ends rules the same as power is train. Train for us means you are on tracks inside. Okay, you're on tracks inside. That could be for a down. It could be for a down lineman. That could be for a linebacker. But you are on train tracks inside, and you have to maintain that. You can't be squeezed off that track. Okay, and you certainly can't let something cross underneath you on that track. Our play side tackle and play side guard, because GOB, they're gap on backer. Okay, pretty common rules right there for, with that. So gap on backer for us. Okay, center's on away. All right, he's going to block the man on him. If you've got a nose, he'll try to get play side leverage. If there's no one on him, his rule is to block back. Okay. We do have some adjustments. We will send our center to the second level. All right. That can also indicate some other things we're doing with the front side and back side of the play. Doesn't happen a lot, but there may be some instances when we do that. In the power game, we'll definitely send our center to the second level a lot. But on counter, where it takes a little bit longer, we have two pullers. We want to make sure we're sealing that backside up really good. Backside guard is to trap the first man past the tight end's block. Okay, that's, for us, that's how we define that as the end man. It's the first person outside the tight end's block. And we say it that way because in some of our adjustments, we will have our tight end block the end man on the line of scrimmage. If he's a hard squeeze player, maybe in a head up 6 technique or a really tight 7 technique, just trying to jam our tight end inside, we will have our tight end block that player. So now our guard is going to kick the next player past that block. Okay. Backside tackle, we call it a cut off, okay, or cut on. All right, so he's responsible for that inside gap of the guard, okay. And a lot of people might just call this like a hinge technique. For us, we call it a cut on, just some of our verbiage. But he's going to be responsible for making sure there's no run through. That if there's a 3 tech back there, that we're going to cut him, okay. On that, the backside tight end has the alley pull, okay. Our halfbacks, again. We have power path. We want to bounce that fake out. and then we're going to counter away from it. Our fullback is going to be a backside player for us. So he's going to go and he's going to take a banana path and peel whatever comes off that outside our tackle. And again, for us, it's really good. A lot of people are going to read our fullback because he's a lead blocker in a lot of plays. So naturally, the counter play, if you're on our fullback, okay, it is going to take you opposite. Okay, so one of the things we pay attention to with all our plays, really, but in all our players is what are their linebackers doing? Okay, not just on counter per se, but counter is a great one to see. Are they cross keyed? Are they near back? Counter is a play that usually lets us understand how their linebackers are reading, or are they reading guard? Because if they're just dead on right on the play, maybe they're a guard team now. Maybe that indicates that instead of running counter initially, we have to run some false scheme where we're going to pull opposite. We'll do some of those things as well with the play. And the quarterback mechanics for us, like I think in any wing T system, even though we're power T, you got to have great feet. You have to be a great athlete, and you have to be a dedicated ball handler, with that, because we're kind of dealing cards back there a little bit, as you see when you get to the film on that. Okay, this is just some basic things blocked up, just some diagrams. With that, I don't think too much of these, because we get so many movement defenses. We don't do much static stuff. We're again, you can kind of illustrate here, though. You see our tight end training inside. Okay, you see a double team here working inside to make sure, whether it's the Mike coming down, backside linebacker stacked up coming inside. Okay, we want to make sure we don't get that. You see the fullback coming off the tackles block to pick up any kind of chasing defensive end or edge player. You're going to see too, again, our tight end here trying to work up to a straight backer that's coming over. He's over. This guy's already lined up necessarily over our tight end with that. Or again, would it be a safety, coming down? He's going to pick up that guy. Counter versus the even front. Again, for us, one of our rules for us generally is we generally try to double team the closest guy to the point of attack. So and then matchup dependent. So, for us, our guard is going to be solo on a nose, even if in a defensive tackle. I have them listed here as a nose. Could be a 2-tech, could be a 3-tech. If we feel like we can take them solo, we will. And we want to get big vertical movement here, right where we're running. And again, probably look to come up inside to make sure we don't get any downhill Mike come through or the will coming. Again, if this guy was coming through here, we would probably change our double team again, because I want to make sure no linebackers are coming underneath our play and are going to hit our running back for a negative play, cause a fumble, or whatnot with that. So again, some base blocking adjustments for us before, I'm almost ready to get the film and really see some of this stuff. Zone for us is a tag we use in both the power game and the counter game, and it just means our tight end is going to block on. Okay, just call it zone. Okay, he's going to block on. We're not necessarily telling him to take him, get outside leverage, inside leverage. We're telling him to try to drive the guy off the ball, create vertical movement. All right, we're going to do that one because potentially we just like our matchup. We think our tight end can really block your defensive end. Two, you're getting the end that is just not letting our tight end get inside. He's hanging him up. He's tackling him. He's just squeezing him down. That's his only job. And if that's his only job, we can't let a player whose only job is just to maul our tight end. We can't let that guy be successful. We have to make him play football and do some other things with that. So a zone tag for us, does that. Gecko for us, we'll run a lot in the counter scheme. G words for us mean our front side guard will pull. Okay, we do that on a few of our plays. Counter is a big one, especially if your linebackers are going opposite the play. You're keying our running backs, they're going opposite. Well, now we feel like we can get extra pullers to the play side because we're not worried about your linebacker coming underneath. We're thinking they're going opposite. So gecko for us means guard kick. Okay, guard kick. So now we call gecko on a 76 gecko. It tells our front side guard he's kicking. Now our backside guard pulls in the alley, and our tight end still pulls in the alley. Okay. If you think a home call, home means that the tight end is going to stay home on the backside and not pull. A lot of times we'll do that with double G's. So we'll go gecko, home, because maybe we can't pick up the chaser. So we're going to just sit there and we'll have our tight end protect the backside edge. Stay for us means the backside guard will stay on the play. Okay. So we could go gecko stay. All right. With that. And again, we have some other power tags that we use with that. But, at the end of the day, we'll run zone quite a bit. But depending on the week, we may run all gecko. And I don't know if I have any film up here with that. I know this year we had more where we ran gecko and we ran gecko home. Just we were seeing some really good edge players, and we didn't want them chasing us down, with that. So, but for us, I think again, the verbiage we use within all our offense is all, we're always making sure it's tight together. So I don't want to have extra words for counter if it means the same thing in power. So again, zone, gecko, those words generally will transcribe across the whole offense. So if our kids hear those, they know what they mean with that. Or if the kids are even going to make a check up there, they know what it means. It's not a one-off type deal for us. Okay. Zone, again, I said our play side tight end is going to block on. Okay. He's going to block on. Our guard is going to kick the next guy. Okay. We see a lot of looks where we get like a 6 technique and then an edge player. So we feel like if we get that, that's a good time for us to call zone, because if we didn't, we might have if they decide to bring their edge player, okay, that corner there, and we kick out, we might be able to pick up that corner with their tight end pulling, but we also might be a guy short. Okay. You notice too here, I said this is for our, the double team now, especially if your linebackers are flowing opposite. Now we may try to work an Okie double team, which means our outside guy comes off. Or a scoop, which is it's more like an outside zone double team, which we run outside zone as well for that. Gecko, as you see again, you're just getting a little drop 45 pull here by our play side guard. He kicks out the end. Our backside guard's wrapping. Okay, it's the same pull as power now, but we're also in a basic. If we just call 76 gecko, that means we're going to get 2 pullers into the alley. Okay. Now, for us to do that, we got to feel good about our matchups up here. We got to feel good that we can one-on-one you, and we got to feel good that we're not getting linebackers, attacking the line of scrimmage to the play side, coming underneath us. So with that, all right, I'm gonna flop over here to my. I need to.
So far, so good, Coach. Take your time. Like I said, everything's going well, and at least on my end. So
okay, good. That was going good. Can you see my huddle screen right now?
Yep, I can see your huddle. You're in huddle. You're good to go. And
okay, good. So let me right here. So again, let's talk counter, getting some detail here. Okay. All right. So again, you see us as a tight T team right here. Okay. We play tight splits. Okay. I think that helps us take space away from the defensive backs. We're at 4.5 yards. Okay. And again, we're seeing we have 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage here. DBs are tight. You got linebackers here. So we're going to see a lot of stuff where we got, all 11 guys within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. Maybe you got 10 guys within, 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. So I think there is it's a pressing nature for us that we know what we're doing blocking here to get this. All right. So again, we start off here again. We talk about our tight end. All right. He's going to train inside. We're going to look for that first double team. Okay. We're going to look to double team the first guy inside our tight end, inside the guy we're kicking. Okay. With that. All right. We kind of see the play here. Okay. Again, it starts with getting a good, like any with power here, you got to get movement at the point of attack. Okay. You got to get movement at the point of attack. You see our first puller here in the backside. He's coming. Now we want him to pull into the line of scrimmage. Don't get wide. Don't give him a chance to spill. Come, okay, get on the guy. I'd like to see his head be a little lower. Okay, and get under him. But again, kind of does the job here. Center just kind of reached the play side. Backside tight end does a good job. Oh, then again, though, we got lucky on this one. As you see, we got a linebacker that came through right here. We should have 57's late coming off his double team. Okay, 57's got to see that. Our tight end comes through, picks up All right. Picks up an alley defender. So we're talking here. We're tight here. Okay, this tight end coming through. No scrape linebacker. Pick up somebody in the alley. Okay. Backside tackle's got to kind of cover his gap. Stay on this guy. And really good path here by our backside tight end. So we look to the backfield. I think one of the key points for us in this play that we teach from a quarterback standpoint is you're going to watch the quarterback steps, and now it's this crossover right here. This crossover coming as he's going away opens up his hip and lets this halfback get downhill. It lets him be square. So if he's got to take that play, vertical right up through here, he could do it. But he's square so he can go in any direction he wants to on this play. Here it is again. Now we're going to more of a six-man look right here. Edge player coming up. They run a loop. And we pick up the edge. Pick up the edge, and the tight end comes through and gets a piece there, going for the alley defender. We pick up the linebacker right there. He comes into the wash. And again, like we have an inside double team here, which we're going Iggy. So we got a double team coming here. 57 picks him up that time. All right, and he goes. Okay. Now we got kind of the eagle front here. Linebackers are deep. They're out of the – we're getting some of our tight film here. Linebackers are out of the screen. They're deeper. We have double edge players here. Okay. Okay, again, good movement right here. Good movement at the point. We pick up the linebacker. The linebackers are both wrong right now. We pick them up. And then again, we get 57 pulling. He gets the kick, and the tight end does a great job picking up the next guy right here. I think, again, he does a great job on that. Because this corner folds in right now to the alley, okay, where we're running inside. He folds in right now. The tight end picks him up. All right, and now we get a chance. And he splits the backside, the safety there. Okay. So again, what we get in the backside again too is, again, for us, we want to solo the center here with the nose. We want the center to solo the nose. That means he's not blocking back versus eagle front. Okay. We're going to try to, with the tight splits we have, we think we can get our tackle with this guy. Okay. If he has to, he'll cut it. So you see the backside tackle gets in. I'd like to see him actually work his head across more, but he makes the block. Okay. Front side, we're good. Okay. But again, our backside tight end does a great job on this play, number 6. Just having vision, picking that guy up. And again, again, with our halfback here, you can see how he hits this square. I mean, he is hitting this thing. He is downhill. He is vertical through there, which just lets him go. Tight look. And same deal inside. We got the eagle front. Okay, we kind of have a little stat game here with this corner, outside linebacker. However, we'll probably call him a corner still, but he's kind of stacking here. Maybe they're going to play a game. Again, for the most part, our kids are playing on pass. We're not going to wait and see what happens. Our tight end, okay, we're going left here, and this. Okay, we get movement. We get a kick out right here. And then 6, this guy actually kind of outside fits it, which is good for us. So now 6 picks up the next guy right here, and it's hard to see. So 6 does a really good job again. So he's picking up right now. He's picking up the straight linebacker coming over the top. Get good movement, nothing coming inside. He picks up the straight linebacker, 28 vertical. All right, and does a good job. Okay. And we do see, for us, one of the things, this is not good out of us right here. I can tell you that. This isn't good. Well, you're probably correct. But you see this side of the line here, this side of the line here, well, you can probably tell who's pulling, right? It's not good. Something definitely I know we look to correct with that. We see a lot of unique defenses, okay, which I do think works in our favor, okay? When I say that, I mean, you see right now you got 5 down linemen and you have 2 inside backers and you got these guys stacked right here, okay? Now, from the perspective of an offensive coach, I think because I ran this offense for so long, I've kind of learned that, I'm not spending a lot of time at like how a defense is going to defend trips into the boundary or how they're going to defend tight end trips, how they're going to defend this motion. Okay. As a lot of offensive coaches are going to do. Okay. I mean, I'm going to look at that stuff because it may tell me things, but what I want to do as a coach is I really want to look at your personnel. Yeah. Because that tells me maybe how can you play us? Do you have 4 to 6 really good defensive linemen? You only have 2 good defensive linemen. How good are your DBs at tackling? Are you going to sub those guys out? So, obviously, as we play people in our conference, we get a feel for how they want to play us. But we're the only Power T team in Division I in the state. I think, I believe there might have been one other one that coach left. So we're not getting that. We do think that sometimes there's some other teams in Michigan that run this really well. That if something works against them, we can expect that. But, for us, we feel like we have to come out and we have to be ready to adapt to most things, okay? Because, we might see some crazy things, but sometimes crazy things, too, are not fundamental. And for us, I still feel it's an advantage at the end of the day if you're going to put your kids in spots where they're not used to playing, okay? I mean, they have not done that. This team has not done anything like this against anybody. Okay, so to do that, it's one, you're telling your kids right off the bat that your base defense is not good enough to play against us. I think number 2, you're putting them in spots where their reads change, their fits change, their responsibilities change, and I think that can become chaotic. So for us, very rarely do I just really bank on saying, hey, we're going to see this, and this is a solid. This is what we're going to see. I did that probably a few times earlier in my career, and I got burned. Try to be too specific to, what a team I think they're going to do based on something. I want our kids to get off the ball and get after people. Okay, and then we're pretty good at sorting things out in the game. Our offensive line is good in coming off the field and talking to me and saying, "Hey, coach, I think we should make this adjustment because this kid's doing this." And they're good at that. And it usually doesn't take them very long. They might be making a call up there, which they have freedom to do. That first series, if they see something, okay? So I give those guys a lot of leeway because I trust them to make adjustments on the fly out there, okay? So, again, we've seen a weird defense here. Okay, they're going the wrong direction right now. All 3 of them go the wrong direction, though, okay? So I'm guessing at least one of these guys is on the fullback, at least one. And then maybe they're cross-keyed. So maybe this initial step back fools him. But we get all the guys going the wrong way, so that's good for us. And again, as you see, it draws up pretty perfectly right here. Then, because if all your linebackers go the opposite way, that's a good play for us. Okay. In this case, too, what you see happen is, their defensive end is an offensive lineman. He's actually at Michigan State, but he's never played defense before except for us. So we kind of thought they might put him there, but you can tell he's not very comfortable. He's just backing up. He said, squeeze him. Well, he tackles our tight end and pancakes him, but now we're not blocking you. So our guard picks up the next guy, and our tight end comes through and picks up the alley defender. Okay? Picks up the alley defender. Pick him up. Now, again, our back's vertical. Try to split that. Okay. Somewhat of a shaded, maybe we're shaded to the field here a little bit where we are, again, your nose is an odd look, but they're shaded to the field with that. Again, our tight end gets his butt kicked here, and that's not good. Okay. Again, that guy is this kid right here is so enamored about essentially just not letting our tight end go that he doesn't even see the ball. I probably still think we can block him, but he doesn't even see the ball. Okay, on that. And again, what I like is our guard 54 is working vertical. He gets around that trust, but he works vertical. inside leverage, our tight end is tracking, working. You kind of see his hand there. He's feeling that. He can't be looking down. There's trash in here. You look at how people play us. I mean, these guys just dive and roll on us right here. They're diving and rolling. So sometimes you get penetration. And it's a skill by this tight end to be able to navigate this, get around, I'll pick up, and he makes a great block. I'd like to see him stick out more. Makes a great block, though. Okay? And that's a heck of a play by that tight end right here. Because, again, he's got to navigate his feet. He's putting his hip down. He feels this right here. He comes around. He makes the block. 19 overfits it. All right, and we get a big run right here. Okay. Well, that is my film. So I kind of want to recap some things that got, for us. One, counter is a great play for us because it resembles power, both to the defense where they need to sell out, stop it, the direction of the ball, they think the ball's going, but it's also great for us because it keeps our blocking rules and assignments and our kids' techniques in check. Okay. It doesn't change. So generally, if we make an adjustment in the game for power, it's going to probably be there for counter as well. Okay. So the only difference really is we're going to see how the linebackers are fitting, with that. We're going to see how the linebackers are fitting. But, and from another level again, too, it is a play that it's a play that has been a big play for us. Again, it usually averages between 7 and 9 yards a play when I look back over the last 4 years. Certain years have been better. Power is usually between 5 and 6 for us. Some this year it might have been 6.4 power for us. So it has some big play potential as well, too. Okay. There's going to be weeks where we run it a ton. Okay. There's going to be weeks where we run counter more than power. Okay. And then there's going to be other weeks where we don't run a ton of it based on what you're reading and what you're keying. Okay. But it does give us a lot of information as well, because we're going to see, are you on guard? Are you on near back? Are you on fullback? Okay. Are you cross keying? Okay. So we're going to kind of see what you're doing there too. So it's a play that gives us information, but I still like to play because it's a physical play. Okay. It's still who we are. We're trying to get vertical movement off the line of scrimmage, be physical on the edge with our pullers, and be physical in the alley, with our tight end pulling up through. So, again, I don't know. Are there questions?
Yeah,
I don't think I can see them. But if there are questions, I'll be glad to answer some questions.
Yeah,
now.
actually, I'm leaving the chat open right now. There's been a lot of positive comments so far, but I do want to know, like, when you're installing this, and I know you've done it for a good long period at this point.
Yeah.
How are you progressing to it? Is there a lot of pod work with it? Is it a lot half line? Is it a lot of individual to group?
Yes.
How are you approaching the install, and whether it be counter or any of your power T stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And, we want to make sure that all the drills and all our segments are reflected in, that they're building to, the full thing here, the full picture. With counter, we spend a lot of time in pods where we will have, we'll work guard tackle double teams and the tight ends working a train block. We'll work on tackle tight end double teams where our guards work in a solo block. We work those in conjunction, both half line with the running backs and also just half line, like with the offensive line, because I do think we can maximize reps with that. And, sometimes it's very specific to an opponent who we think we're going to get some things. So we want to practice the 2 to 3 looks we think we're going to get with that. But we do a ton of half line. We do half line more for power and for outside zone and for trap because we don't need the backside tight end pulling. Half line for us, we will always have the backside guard in because we pull the guard a lot. But I think you can maximize reps. For us, again, we have bigger rosters, so we can have a right side of our line going with 3 running backs and a left side of our line going with 3 running backs. And we can run the play to the right, then run the play to the left. Run the play to the right, run the play to the left. Switch the backfield, switch the guards. So we can really maximize that. And what I like to do in those half line periods is I do feel because there's less guys, we can control the defense. And we're going to work a lot of our a lot of the things that I don't want to necessarily work, like running team because there's too many bodies. We're going to work a 7-tech crossing face of the tight end, trying to rip in the C gap. We're going to work backer blitzes. We're going to work loops and stunts because we have to practice those. And those are things in half-line. We're going to mix those in every week, probably regardless of opponent, because we feel like we have to be ready for people just, that are going to try to jump their defensive lines, pre-snap shift, slant, dive at us. With that, but tons of stuff we do in pods. Okay. A lot of times our tight ends are off by themselves with the tight ends coach. I coach our offensive line. The tight ends are with that group. When we say O-line, the tight ends are with that group, but we will separate a lot. The tight ends might be working reach blocks. They might be working inside train blocks to linebackers, and where we're working some double teams inside, or we're working inside movements, or we're working trap on the inside potentially. Our tight ends might be out working something else with that. But I do think that efficiency in practice helps us. But half line is something we're going to do at least once a week, usually twice a week, where we feel like we can get a lot of reps and get a lot of reps for our twos, during those periods. So it's the whole two backfield is getting as many reps as the one backfield. And we're going to sub in and out frequently during that half line period to get a lot of guys reps.
Okay. And then unless somebody pops up in our question here, one of the last questions that I got sent directly is, obviously you mentioned there that you don't really focus on how I word this. You focus more on personnel than anything because, again, with an under center offense nowadays, you're going to, and with you being foot to foot, you're going to see, who knows what you're going to see. How
exactly?
So, I mean, within practice throughout the week, are you trying to replicate that personnel with some of your other kids, or are you just throwing a bunch of different looks throughout practice? How are you approaching that aspect from a practice standpoint?
Yeah, very, very good question. Again, I think, during our pod period or individual period, I think that's when I think we can be the most physical because, we don't have to worry about, knocking a guy over into another guy and rolling up on his knee. We're physical in practice in a team session, but we can really work the matchups, good on good, tight ends. We can put guys across from our tight end when we don't have running backs and say, hey, you are tackling this tight end and not letting him go to a linebacker. Okay, do it. Okay, because we also got to work pass releases against that because the defensive holding doesn't get called that much, unfortunately. So we have to work those things, personnel wise, more in a group or an individual period. When we get into the team periods, at different points of the year, it's a little different. But if I was going to tell you, during the week, we do want to have some periods where the offense is fairly comfortable in terms of, all right, we're not going to jump around that much. We're not going to slant, pre-snap shift, bring backers, because we do need to get, be able to work the timing and the rhythm of the offense. We have to. The backs are tight, everything. We are a rhythm-based speed offense. It happens fast. But we're also going to have periods in practice where they're scripted and the scout team is very scripted. And we might have two scout groups because that way we can have like an even front scout group, an odd front scout group where the personnel different. And we are going to work a lot of movement, pre-snap shifts. We're going to work a lot of blitzes. Some of it might be from what we've seen in previous years, but some of it might just be random to the fact of we need to be ready for things. And I think when you do that, what happens is, again, there's still only so many things you can do and be fundamentally sound, okay? Our kids, rather than memorizing things, they start to see patterns and they start to connect with those guys next to them. They start to realize like, hey, this guy's walked up in the C gap. If it happens late, I might not be able to make a call. I just got to take him. And the running back, the running back based on his rules is going to pick up the next guy, or whatnot. But we have to rep those in both individual periods. I think for our running backs too, we're working a lot of things on the edge, that tight end edge where, we're working a vertical kick out block. We call it it's not, we think we're going to get guys that are hanging our tight ends trying to spill, but that can change. It could be that end who's in a 7-tech, which is outside shaded tight end for us. He crashes hard inside. All right. Well, now you've got to stay vertical and you're going to pick up the next guy, whether that's a corner or linebacker. We have to practice those scenarios. So that, again, we can't take 2 drives in a game to figure out like, oh, this is what they're doing. Because if it's a good team, we might be done though. If we take a whole quarter to figure out like, oh, these guys are doing this, we're not ready for it. So we have to make sure that our kids are ready for it coming in, with that. And so it's always a unique prep for us. I mean, we are going to go into a game plan thinking someone's going to run these two things, and we might hit those 75% of the time in practice. But the other 25% of the time, there's going to be some randomness to it, because we got to make sure that our kids are ready to adjust. And I never want them going out there going, oh man, we didn't practice against this. What are we going to do? I want them going out there saying, hey, we're going to figure it out. We're problem solvers. And, the first way we try to problem solve is with a sledgehammer. And, we're just going to try to hit you. And we'll work out the kinks in the armor, and the details as the game goes on. But we can't get slowed down.